First up, the new gun laws that took effect in New York just over a month ago have faced their share of lawsuits as expected. The one challenge now that was just filed comes from what might seem like an unexpected source: churches across the state. 2 on Your Side's Ron Plants joins us now to explain what is behind this latest challenge in court. Hey, Ron.
Michael, as you may recall, Governor Hochul and the legislature's answer to the Supreme Court's ruling striking down their original concealed carry gun permit law was to approve another package of gun laws. That included a ban on weapons in certain sensitive locations. One in particular cited houses of worship. That's the focus of this particular legal challenge. Now, this federal lawsuit against the state police superintendent and county DAs was filed on behalf of 25 churches in Niagara, Orleans, Genesee, Cattaraugus counties, and other churches elsewhere around the state. And it was coordinated through a Rochester-based group called New Yorkers for Constitutional Freedoms. They contend many houses of worship, at the request of clergy and other church leaders, actually have groups of volunteers who've concealed carry permits and are prepared to defend other members of the congregation, this stemming from shooting attacks at churches and synagogues around the country. And now they're questioning why the state specifically in its law would allow such protection only by trained certified security agencies or active or retired law enforcement church members. Some church leaders say they can't afford that or don't have such members.
Frankly, there are people that didn't want it to be known that they were engaging in this, but there are congregants in churches sitting in the pews. Sometimes they're more formal than that, but they are armed for the purpose of there to protect their congregation during morning worship services. You know, every time the governor speaks in a church, and she's done a lot of that lately, she takes an armed detail with her. We're simply saying that the family sitting in that pew deserves the same protection that the governor is afforded when she goes into a house of worship.
I previously reported on this question last month as church leaders in East Buffalo, who also wish to remain anonymous, told me that they had such armed volunteers for services because they did not want to be, quote, sitting targets for a shooting attack like we saw at the Tops in May. And Michael, they also revealed that the top shooting suspect was seen on surveillance video casing an East Buffalo church a week before that terrible store attack.
So, Ron, what kind of reaction are we getting from the governor's office? I mean, she signed this into law.
Yeah, well, the governor's office said no comment on pending litigation, as they usually do. They referenced that legislation that makes exemptions for church members, again, who are current or retired law enforcement, military, or registered security officers. But there's nothing in there about trained volunteers. And when I did this story before, a state spokesperson said this law was enforced at the discretion of local law enforcement, comparing it to whether a police officer would choose to pull someone over for speeding if they're just above the speed limit. Also, Erie County Sheriff John Garcia, a Republican who called the new package of laws, quote, unconstitutional and unenforceable, said his office actually got calls from concerned church members who carry. As such, volunteers in church feared they could be charged with a felony. And something else here, the Associated Press reporting there was a hearing in a similar case last Friday in Syracuse. That also involves a pastor who carries a gun, also challenging the legality of this state law. Really involved, Michael.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll have to see if the legislature tweaks it at all to address these concerns. Obviously, they'll be back in session in a number of months. Ron Plants reporting live. Ron, thank you.